the very thing that caused me all that hurt actually became the one thing that made me stand out from the crowd. Well, for as long as I can remember, I've had a stammer. As a child at school, I could barely get one word out my mouth. Reading aloud in class was traumatic. Answering a register was hell. And I once peed myself in front of the entire class because I couldn't ask the teacher to go to the toilet. Quite humorous now, but pretty mortifying in the moment. Lads would hold me down in the playground and beat the words out of me, as they'd say. And so, life was pretty tough. But all my childhood and into adolescence, having a stammer was a real burden for me, right up until that first audition on Pop Idol, which was actually 22 years ago now. I feel very old. But my stammer was always a negative up until that moment. I was badly bullied at school because of it. It caused me constant pain and upset and embarrassment. But the very thing that caused me all that hurt actually became the one thing that made me stand out from the crowd. Up until that moment, being different was a very negative thing. I tried so desperately to fit in and to not cause a fuss, to not stand out from the crowd for all the wrong reasons. But actually, for the first time, being different was a good thing. Having a stammer was a positive thing, but because it got me noticed, it created a story that people could latch onto. I was the boy that couldn't speak, but could sing amazingly. And I'm sure there's things, that you are going through, or maybe you have an affliction that holds you back, but maybe that's the very thing that makes you, the thing that sets you apart from everybody else. And although it's hard to recognize when you're going through that hurt, but I encourage you to persevere and to push on, because these things make us stronger and make us the people we are today. At the age of 8, my first school was producing a production of Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Now, I was a very shy boy with a stammer, but somehow I decided to go along to the auditions with my friends. Again, probably just to try and fit in with them. And part of the audition process was the school asking us to sing a small section of music. Now, up until that point in my life, I could barely get one word out of my mouth. So nobody, especially me, was expecting much from me being able to sing. But when they did ask me to sing, all of a sudden, these words just come flooding out my mouth, fluently, effortlessly, without any struggle or tension. And this completely changed my world. Finally, I could express myself. I could get out of me what was in me, and I absolutely loved it. So much so that I began to learn to express myself on several musical instruments, the guitar, the piano, the drums. My poor parents had to endure hours of me creating a racket on all of my instruments. But, I was dealt a difficult hand in life, the inability to speak and the inability to communicate. And I could have just settled for that and let my affliction dictate the life I was to lead and was to live. But as soon as I found that something that I could excel at, I knew I had to put my all into that. I had to switch my energy from what I couldn't do to what I was able to do and what I did well and what I excelled at. And I think we all have things in life we struggle with, but we also all have things that we're good at. And I urge you today to find your thing, to find that trait or that gift that you're good at. And it may take some time to find your calling or your path, but persevere, because once you do, everything changes. My life certainly changed in an instant. I went from being a shy boy that couldn't speak to people applauding me when I sang fluently. I could have very easily have given up, but I knew from a young age that I wasn't going to accept what I was given in life. I knew I was destined for more. And I think that belief and that drive and determination is the reason I've achieved what I have today. In my speeches, I talk about lots of things, but the main points I try to get across is to encourage you to find your thing. I've always suffered with a debilitating speech impediment, but I realized as a child I could actually get words out of my mouth through music. And so that became my thing. I put everything into that. I shifted my focus from something I can't do to something I do well. And, we all have things in our life that we do excel at. And so to find your thing and to really, really put all your energy into that. I also like to encourage people to find a mentor and to stick with the winners, to rub shoulders with people who are going to inspire you to be better. And finally, which is the biggest thing I try and encourage people to do, is to face their fears. Me standing in front of you today speaking is my biggest fear. And I hope to plant a seed to encourage you to do the same, because if I can do it, then so can you.